When someone invites you to stay in Tahoe, the correct answer is always yes. This time it was my parents and some family friends who were renting a house for 5 days outside of Tahoe City and using that as a base for some spring backcountry skiing. California can have some truly incredible spring backcountry conditions, and with the weather looking promising for some corn formation, I was stoked. On the way to Lake Tahoe off of I-80, there's a peak I've been wanting to ski for quite a long time now, and I thought it would be a great way to get our legs in the backcountry mindset and just do a chill little tour up to this beautiful looking peak for hopefully some good corn skiing. And yeah, that's exactly what we did. Just crossed under the freeway and headed up towards Castle Peak.
We were looking at Fat Map and it seemed like there was a good run on the right side, but all of it looks pretty good. Look at that little chute, you see that? I know, that thing is sick.
We started this tour pretty late in the day at like 11:30 and it was already 55 degrees, so really getting that spring conditions in, and the snow was definitely feeling pretty soft and wet.
We're just working our way up here. It is a beautiful clear day, but it's also quite warm spring day. Definitely feeling that heat off the snow.
I mean, the entire skin up is completely south facing, so it's pretty much just an oven, and it definitely got a little bit warm. Thankfully though, a little breeze started to kick in, so it felt less like we were burning alive and a little bit more enjoyable. To get to the summit of Castle Peak, we wrapped around to the north side and it got a little bit spicy, a little bit icy and crunchy and steep, but eventually we got to the summit and had a view of our line options, which were honestly a little bit dicier than had been expected.
Yeah, definitely a little bit rocky.
On the way up though, we had seen this chute that looked pretty fun, albeit a little narrow, but we decided to go and check it out and see if we could make anything happen with it.
Yeah, it's narrow and there's a lot of rock, but the bottom's weird. It's like a ramp, you gotta climb out of it.
So I pretty much just channeled my inner Nikolai and sent it down that chute. Tad bit spicy, but really just a great way to start off the trip with some incredible snow.
That was so sick.
And the exit to this run was ripping for a little bit before it turned extremely sticky, because at this point it was like 2 p.m. and 60 degrees outside, so the snow was not holding up great.
Oh God, here we go, another gnarly exit. Oh my God.
Our next backcountry peak is an absolute Tahoe classic, and for good reason. The mountain is incredible and the views are even better, and I did it a couple years ago, but ever since then I've been wanting to repeat it just because it is that amazing. For this objective, we got a bit of an earlier start at about 9 a.m. because you have to park at the bottom of the road and actually hike in past a closed gate.
First mile is a walk on the road, long approach.
It's not the worst thing in the world. Don't love it. I would prefer to be skinning, but you know, property rights and such. From a meadow, you start climbing up this pretty steep hill that is completely east facing and is correctly named Sweat Hill. And as we suffered up this hill at about 9:30 in the morning, the snow was already feeling pretty perfect for corn, and so we were definitely a bit concerned that our way down would be very, very sticky. So yeah, our expectations for good snow quality weren't super high for the rest of the climb. That being said, the views from this climb are unreal. It's unlike anywhere else I've ever been. You're basically just overlooking Lake Tahoe the entire time, and it's pretty magical, I would say. Makes the really steep and pretty long climb go a lot easier. There were a few challenges going up. First of all, it was pretty steep on the north-facing side, so it was a little bit icy, and it was a moment that I really wish I had crampons for.
How are those crampons working?
Good on the side hill. Pretty good.
Yep, this would be a good place for crampons.
And secondly, because we were going from hard-packed snow to powdery snow, the glopping became a pretty big issue. But with a little bit of perseverance, we made it through and got to the bottom of the peak, which quite frankly looked terrible. Usually I'm not super antsy about bagging peaks, especially with snow quality that looks like that, but Mount Tallac is a peak you just have to summit. Why, you ask? Well, because the views look like this. So yeah, with a quick transition and a view appreciation, it was time to drop in. And the snow, well, it was a little bit hard. We worked our way down the main face and the snow quality was really not improving, so we tried to traverse and find some better snow, which also didn't work.
I don't know if we screwed ourselves here. We might have to go down that. That does look like a cliff. According to FatMap, it's like 40 degrees.
I would say our expectations for good snow were pretty low, but on our way back, traversing through some icy patches, we miraculously came across a patch of preserved powder, and that got us stoked.
This is good right here.
So yeah, that descent that we thought would be super heinous actually turned into an incredible run with preserved powder down little chutes into corn that led to an exit that actually was pretty good. So yeah, that's one for the books. For our last day, we were all pretty tired, but there was a run that seemed pretty popular with the locals that I wanted to check out because it looked incredible. But because we were pretty tired, our morning went very slowly, so we didn't end up getting out there until 10:30, which was pretty late considering that the slope was completely east facing and it was already about 50 degrees out, so I was very concerned that the snow would be terrible.
I think it is just that one.
The climb is also up this super steep east-facing chute that has zero shade, and with temperatures in the 50s, that can get very, very hot. But thankfully, a nice little breeze picked up and cooled us down a little bit, so it wasn't completely unbearable. As you climb up this run, the view just gets better and better, with Emerald Bay just sitting completely below you, feeling like you're gonna fall straight into the water, and this is even better than the view from Mount Tallac, I have to say. It was just so cool. And it truly did feel like a locals run with a bunch of people just coming up and going down as we went, just with their dogs, with their friends, and everyone was just having a great time, and it was a beautiful spring day. And again, let's just talk about the view. I mean, from the top, I felt like I was about to ski into a Norwegian fjord. That's the only thing I can relate it to, just because you're directly above the water, and yeah, it was really special.
Lost my Nalgene on the way up. Oh God.
Even though we were very late to descend in the day because of the breeze, I think it preserved that corn because it absolutely ripped.
All right, I got the water bottle and I am dropping again.
Just 2,000 feet of non-stop ripping corn. I mean, you really just can't beat Tahoe's backcountry. So those were the Tahoe Spring backcountry missions, and you really just can't beat it. Like I said, the corn was incredible, views were unreal, and the company was great. So definitely another backcountry trip for the books.